Well, look who is back.
What up, though?
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash. Kinner and Kev with you live here on a Friday.
It is.
It's your Tuesday.
Is it? Yeah, I missed a couple days. Man,
As
I had
you should. I'm glad you feel better, by the way.
crazy migraine headache. And I had like a temperature. It was all bad. And then the second day I missed, no more temperature, still a slight headache. But today, I feel like $1,000,000.
That's all that matters. Again, we're with you here live on a Friday. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Again, excited to be hanging out with each and every one of you. This week has kind of flown by in your absence. We were able to catch up. Jack Duffin, salary cap expert for 24/7 Sports and the Orange and Brown Reports. He covers primarily the salary cap for the Cleveland Browns, but also covers the league as a whole.
Okay.
But he made the show sound a lot more intelligent yesterday. Let's just put it that way, because he is locked in on this stuff, and he answered a lot of questions that I think a lot of us fans had. So he had a good line yesterday. He said the Browns have the advantage cap space wise in the division because they have cash rich owners. He goes, but it's neutralized by the fact that they're the Browns. So there's
Browns is the Browns.
So there's that. There's that as far as that's concerned. But it's a Friday. We're gonna do cap or no cap and the hurry up all in one. We got cap for a little bit today, and then we blast right into the weekend. So we're going to kick things off with, of course, everyone's favorite game, or at least my favorite game, of course. Kev Nash, what's our favorite game?
It is cap or no cap.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment. Cap or no cap?
All right, Kev, real quick, just share the rules of cap or no cap for everybody.
You're going to throw out a statement. You're going to answer it with a cap or no cap. Cap is a lie. No cap is the truth.
Now, for those of you who don't remember that or won't remember that, that's totally fine. I won't remember either, so we're off and rolling. All right, Kev, cap or no cap? Touched on this throughout the week in your absence, but the Dallas Cowboys have thrown out a little interest in trading up to get CJ Stroud. Now, again, I don't think there's a ton of momentum here, but CJ Stroud's going to be interesting. Houston has a ton. I think he ends up with Houston at the end of the day. But cap or no cap, Kev, CJ Stroud will win an NFL playoff game before Justin Fields. Let me rephrase this. Cap or no cap, CJ Stroud will get to the playoffs before Justin Fields, a battle of the Buckeye quarterbacks. Cap or no cap, CJ Stroud will experience a playoff game before Justin Fields. Cap or no cap?
No cap. I think the Houston Texans are in a far better position than the Bears because they have a ton of cap space. They have a ton of picks. And I think they're in a more competent situation. Everything that's going on with the Chicago Bears, with all the rumors about them potentially trying to trade Justin Fields because they want to restart the clock already. I just think it's a bad spot for Justin Fields. I've said that since day one, so I'm going to go with no cap.
I say no cap as well. I think that the Bears right now, and here's why, I think that the Houston Texans know, whether it's Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, they know they want a rookie quarterback. So it doesn't matter if it's CJ or Bryce Young. We're assuming it's going to be Bryce Young because I think a team's going to move up to one to take Bryce. So if that's the case, Houston's going to go all in for CJ Stroud. They look around the league. They see the teams taking advantage of the quarterback. They have a very good young head coach who's getting his first opportunity going back to Houston. I think they're going to go all in. Chicago doesn't even know if they want Justin Fields right now. So I feel like Houston's more invested into CJ Stroud, assuming that's who they draft. So I'll say no cap. I think CJ Stroud will taste the playoffs before Justin Fields one way or another. Next up, cap or no cap, Kev. Daniel Jones wanted $45 million. Then it was reported that no, that was never the case. And then it was confirmed today that yes, his camp has come out and said, based on the quarterback market, on the fact that he led his team to the playoffs, won a playoff game, he feels pretty confident. He wants that $45 million from the New York Giants. Cap or no cap, Kev, Daniel Jones will get an extension with the Giants before our favorite guy, Lamar Jackson, gets one with the Ravens.
Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to go with...
Both seem like an uphill climb.
Very. I'm going to go with no cap based off of the conversations that you and I had off air and just how horrible things seem to be for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens right now. You know, they're over $100 million away from even being remotely close. Even the guaranteed money is $30 million less than some quarterbacks that he's better than. So I'm going to say that the Giants get it done with Daniel Jones before the Ravens can get it done with Lamar.
See, the crazy thing about cap or no cap is it's one or the other. You
no
can't be
wiggle room.
wishy-washy. No matter how wild things are getting with the Baltimore Ravens, and it's one of those that I look at it this way. I'm going to say, so Daniel Jones will get an extension with the Giants before Lamar does. You said no cap.
Right.
I have to say cap, and here's why.
Because you can't believe it.
I can't believe it, because here's the thing. No matter how I do enjoy the Ravens' turmoil with Lamar, because I'm a Browns fan, so I enjoy it. I wouldn't enjoy it as much if he was in some other conference, but it's like, come on. I mean, even you deep down, I know you're pulling for Lamar, but like, you're a Steelers fan. You're kind of enjoying it a little bit.
I would much rather him be traded somewhere else.
But at the same time, if you have the Ravens who are about to potentially let Lamar leave over fully guaranteed money, and the Giants potentially could say no to Daniel Jones over $45 million, I think the Giants would be way more justified in losing Daniel Jones over $45 million than the Ravens would over guaranteed money to Lamar. I think right now it's a staring contest between the two, Lamar and the Ravens. But I think when push comes to shove, they could stick to their guns or whatever. But at the end of the day, when it comes time to officially picking up the phone to call Lamar's agent to say, we're just trading you, I don't think they have the cojones to do it. I don't think they have their brain doesn't. At the end of the day, the Ravens are a pretty solid organization. I think they don't want to. And I think they're going to piss off the rest of the league, but I don't think they have a choice. I could see the Giants saying, Daniel Jones, come on, you're joking. Lamar, it's kind of hard to look at Lamar and say you're full of it for wanting this money. He at least has a better resume than Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been a quarterback on a playoff winning team, but Lamar is the reason that they're in the playoffs. That's a completely different thing. Plus, he's an MVP. So I'm going to say cap. Okay. I think that Lamar is more likely to get one between the two, but that's just because I can't say push or be in the middle. So, all right, moving on, Kev. Cap or no cap? So we're officially in year 2 of the XFL.
Yeah.
Or is this year 3 technically of the XFL?
Let's go 2.5.
The 2.5. But so this is the first time, though, that we've had a solid second season butted up next to a first season. So ratings are down from where they were a year ago, but I've been watching it. It's the product seems smoother. I think the play looks better. I think that the players now have had a couple years who aren't in the NFL to get more reps and stuff. I think it looks better. Cap or no cap, Kev, we will actually get a third consecutive season of the XFL. We will get the third straight season of the XFL in 2024, cap or no cap?
No cap, because they need programming. They always need programming to put on. These are like lean times right now between, there's only so much NBA you can put on these networks. So they need programming constantly, and you're not going to throw on bowling and fishing and things of that nature. So football, football, be it XFL, being it always moves the needle a little bit, especially in the markets that these places are in. They are in, more of college towns and everything like that. So college fan bases always check in to see what guy from rival team plays for their local team, or see if local guys are still on playing and trying to have their dreams come true. So I say no cap. I see we get a whole nother third year of the XFL.
Yeah, I say no cap as well, mainly because I know that the numbers are dipping, but at the same time, the article I read from Barrett Sports Media was that the numbers are dipping, but the revenue that they've gotten off the advertising is what's going to balance that out. And I think that over time, as the NFL, as players who don't get contracts or whatever, I think eventually, they have Josh Gordon, they have some decent names. I think eventually you're going to get some guys kind of like, who's the backup quarterback for the Bengals? That's now the guy in the XFL. I literally just watched his interview this morning. He almost beat your team, McCarron. I think you're going to get a lot of guys like McCarron that can get paid more in the NFL, but they can still get paid and be the guy on their team in the XFL and almost use that as a tryout to get that money and then some to get a solidified spot. I think the star power will start to grow, and I don't mean stars, but I think more recognizable names will start to increase as the year.
That's a very good point about AJ McCarron, and they're able to do their second career because AJ McCarron does a lot of stuff with ESPN with college football.
Yep. So I think it'll be interesting to see how all of that comes about. Last one here, Kev, cap or no cap? Wright State plays there. They lost last night against Oakland. They play their final game on Sunday. Dayton is heading into their final week of the regular season coming up. They've won 4 straight. They finally look like they flipped that switch. They're rolling and cruising now. We knew Deron Holmes was going to be an A-10 player of the year candidate, but now Tumani Kamara has emerged, and I think it's going to come down, but it's going to be between 2 teammates of who comes out as A-10 player of the year.
Splitting the vote.
But cap or no cap, Kev, we will have 0 representatives in the end of the Miami Valley in the NCAA tournament in 2023 in March Madness. Cap or no cap?
Cap. Flyers are going to make it. Flyers are going to win the A-10 tournament. They're playing way, not I won't say way above their head. They're playing good. They're playing how we expected them to play all season. And right now is the perfect time to do that. Like, you're going into your tournament hot. You're coming in there as potentially the best basketball team in your conference. Go win the conference tournament, punch your ticket to March Madness, and we'll be rooting for you.
Yeah, I think that of the two now, Wright State's an interesting team out of the horizon because they've beat up on the teams at the top of the conference, but then they lose to the teams in the middle. And then they'll punch they'll punch NKU at home on ESPN, and they were cruising. They were 16-11. Now they're like 16 and 14 or whatever. They lost to Oakland last night, and it's like they have Trey Calvin, and that's it. And this is no disrespect to any guard on the Dayton Flyers team, but Trey Calvin's the best guard in this city. I'm telling you right now, Trey Calvin is the dude. There's no disrespect to Dayton, but he's the only dude. Wright State has no secondary option. And Amari Davis is not having the season we had anticipated. He's an awesome human being. I think he's a hell of a player. Hope he comes back and is able to kind of, follow this season up with a better season, because it hasn't been great for him. Not terrible, but not what we expected. They have no secondary punch, and they lost Grant Basile, Tanner Holden. That's no longer an excuse anymore. But the reality is, you take those two away.
Yeah.
One guy's dominating the ACC. The other guy's still averaging 5-6 points a game in the Big Ten. Say what you want. It's not great. But, I mean, if you're doing that in the Big Ten, we saw what he could do in the Horizon. This team just doesn't have that punch. They're not getting there. They're not winning their conference tournament.
They're like 9-10 in conference now, right?
Yeah, they were 9-9, so 9-10 after last night.
So now they have to play every round now.
So now what's going to happen, if they win Sunday, they'll host a quarterfinal game on Tuesday.
Oh, so it's a must-win situation.
Yeah. So it won't be a quarterfinal. They'll have to win Tuesday to get to the quarterfinal to punch their they may not even get to Indianapolis at this point, but they may get to host a home game on Tuesday. So there's that. So I say all of that to say, no cap. I think that I thought Dayton was having a bad year. Then you look at their record, they're going to win 20 games. They are going to probably win the A-10 regular season. And if that's a down year, winning your conference tournament while having guys out all season, people questioning Coach Grant. I told this to Norm Greavy the other day, that Anthony Grant, if they're a top 25 team and they're an at-large team, he's not coach of the year, because that's what you're supposed to do. I think he's a prime candidate to win coach of the year in the A-10 because of the fact of all the ups and the downs and losing guys, getting guys back, and then losing them again for another stretch, and having a true freshman have to run your offense for the majority of the time. They've been through everything. I think AG, a guy I'm critical of, I think he's my coach of the year of the A-10, just watching him navigate through this. They still have 3 more games left, but I think that UD is the best team heading into the conference tournament, and this would be the year that they do it. I think Dayton gets in when it's all said and done.
Agreed.
That is cap or no cap. I mean, my gosh, the next part of this segment, of course, is, we call it the hurry up for a reason, and we are up against it today. So that's where we're at right now. But that was, of course, cap or no cap. But Kev, coming up next, we have the hurry up.
I wish you had more time.
Well, we better hurry it up then. The hurry up.
Cap or no cap to the hurry up. Explain the hurry up, Kev.
Hurry up are just some stories we wish we had more time for, so we're going to run through them real quick.
All right, kick us off.
All right, number 1, on Sunday, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the longest Daytona 500 in NASCAR history. Have you ever been to a race car event?
No, so I've not been to any NASCAR events or anything. Well, that's not true. I've been to when I was young and I lived in El Paso, I would always go with my dad and my grandpa to the races. That's something that they really loved. It's not my cup of tea, but I enjoyed it because it was time spending with family and stuff. When I go visit family again, not a big fan of it, but it's quality time with my family. So I do it. But I have heard that NASCAR events are a lot like hockey and boxing and some of these others, where if you go to these, it's a completely different experience, the rush and everything that comes with it. So I've never been. It's not my cup of tea. I don't sit down and watch it or anything like that, but it needs to be something I go and attend live, because I've heard it's a completely different experience.
I've been to some events at Killcare Raceway before.
Okay.
It's a good time, man.
Back with BC.
Yeah, with BC. Yep. Yeah, I went out there with him, hang out a little bit. So it was a good time. All right, number 2. College football executives are considering 4 rule changes to shorten the length of games. One rule being considered is the clock will continue running after first downs, except inside of the 2 minutes of the half. Good rule or bad rule?
It's a rule that, I really don't have a hot take. I have a hot take on everything. I don't have a hot take on this one way or another. I always call BS when I hear the words, for player safety, we're doing this. Like, let's stop, but you're not doing this for player safety. What I'm thinking is clearly, we're at the point now where I've always said we complain about baseball because it's too long, but yet we'll watch 4 hours of college football. I think we're at the point now where maybe some there's a money related issue that's coming down from areas that we're not familiar with. I guarantee you they're starting to get some complaints from some sponsors or some that maybe the games are just a little bit too long. Maybe ratings are taking a little bit of a dip. Maybe that's why they just want to crunch this in just a little bit. I don't really have a hot take on this one way or another, but yes, if it's money related, it's not player safety related. If it's money related, this will be changed, but I don't know if that's going to change my viewing experience. What about you?
I love it. I love the uniformity. I look at men's college basketball as the eyeball. You guys are the only people out here playing halves. Everybody else out here that plays basketball plays quarters. I look at college football. Hey, the NFL plays quarters, and they keep this clock rolling. They keep things rolling. Every time we get a first down, the clock stops. Every time we get a first down, the clock stops. So it makes these games super long, and you being a program director know this from these 8 o'clock games for Ohio State football, that you're coming here or someone's coming up to the radio station to turn the game off after the post game, and you're not getting out of the station until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning for a game that ended at 11 o'clock. So, yeah, this is a great thing. This thing needs to happen this season.
All right, next up, the hurry up.
Bronny James is projected to be a top 10 pick in ESPN's latest mock draft for the 2024 class. Cap or no cap? Ha ha.
So here, I mean, by the way, I think that, and we're going to have Adam Jardy with the Dispatch on again next week as Ohio State's wrapping up their regular season. And obviously they'll be bumped out of the Big Ten tournament quick, and they're not going to be in the NIT or NCAA. So their season's going to be wrapping up here in a week. We had him on last. We kind of downplayed the legitimacy of Bronny James, and shame on us, because here's the thing. Everything I've gone since then, I've gone and read up on him. The biggest thing working against him is we want him to be LeBron.
Exactly.
And if he's not LeBron's kid and you look at his makeup, we're talking about him as a very, very good 4-star kid that's going to be capable of going into the league and just being a very solid role player. The one thing we don't talk about, he's a great defender.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of great defenders in college basketball or in basketball anymore because it's all about the offense. He's actually a very, very good college basketball prospect, and he's going to be a very good college basketball player. He's going to be a pro prospect. I mean, but we're talking top 10. We talk about Deron Holmes. We watch him. Look how great of a college basketball player he is. Look how great of a college basketball player Tumani Kamara is. Those two will be pros. They'll be late first rounders, second round draft picks, unless they take the OB jump next season. If Deron comes back, who knows? I don't think he will, but it's tough to be a legitimate talent in the NBA, and he's being graded as a top 10 first-round pick. I think we maybe need to start being a little bit more respectful of Bronny, but I think, again, him being LeBron's son is working against him at times.
I agree with you 100%. We hear the name Bronny James. All that we think about is his father and how great his father is. But something I read about him, according to the scouts that know, he's a better shooter than LeBron was at the same age. So that's something to work with. I mean, there's a ceiling to grow with, and he's 6'2" already. He's a supremely athletic kid, and something we always forget, like, there's room to grow. Once you're drafted, doesn't mean, all right, that's the product you're going to be forever. Like, you are allowed to develop as a basketball player. So good luck to Bronny.
All right, and last up.
All right, in a recent interview with ESPN's Malika Andrews, both Jason Tatum and Donovan Mitchell, picked Giannis as the best player in the NBA.
I think that's Jokic at this point, and not because he's averaging a triple-double, but I mean, this dude's about to go on to win a third triple-double. Look, Giannis is a freak athlete. And by the way, love Giannis. I'm a humongous Giannis Antetokounmpo fan, but I think what we are missing is the fact that there definitely aren't flaws. This is just his strengths. He doesn't have weaknesses in these areas, but he doesn't need to be a passer. He doesn't need to be an elite passer. He's an elite scorer, and he can rebound. Jokic is an elite scorer. He's an elite rebounder, but my God, he could pass. So for me, I'm going to go with the guy that just checks off the most boxes. So I'm going to go with Jokic as that. But as far as the more marketable player and the guy that people gravitate towards, that's Giannis. But by the way, you can't go wrong with either one. I think those two, although they're not the sexiest of names and they don't have that charisma, I guess, as some of the previous decades greats, people don't draw to them like that. But I think the NBA is in good hands as far as those two being the two most talented guys in the league moving forward when LeBron and some of these older guys leave the league.
Two things jumped out to me with that statement. Giannis being picked by not only Tatum and Donovan Mitchell. They potentially have to face him in the playoffs.
Yep.
So they know that's the guy that they have to go through. And I agree with them. I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA. But the other thing, what you brought up with your guy, Joker, none of these guys are American-born players. So potentially the top two guys in the NBA are foreign players. That's where this league is headed. This game is global, baby.
What? Who brought that up on First Take or Get Up the other day? I get 11.
No, I brought it up.
Was it you too? My bad.
I have no idea.
No, I just saw it. No, like here, but like they were highlighting that either way, it doesn't matter. But like, yes, it was the most foreign-born players in the NBA All-Star game than ever before. And I think that number is only going to increase. By the way, the potential face and future of the league, depending on the hype. I mean, we can't count this out because we sound like the last night we were with friends. We're talking about that. Who's that number one? That 7'5" kid that's coming. So we sound like when we were kids and LeBron was coming up, we couldn't wait for LeBron. We were all about LeBron. And the older heads were like, LeBron, he's going to flop. He's going to be a bust. Now we're doing what the old heads did for LeBron coming up with this kid. Another foreign-born player that could come in and be the next face of the league. Who knows? But lots of talent.
And then you can even think to the third best player in the NBA. You potentially go to Luka. You know what I'm saying? So
foreign-born player. Yeah.
So like I think about how hockey used to do their All-Star, where it would be United States versus the world. You probably don't want to do that in the NBA right now.
Not anymore.
We will get smoked.
All right, and that was the hurry up. I'm Justin Kenner. He's Kev Nash. Kev Nash is tagging out, heading into the weekend a little early, but we'll be back at it. By the way, hasn't been completely confirmed, but we're supposed to have Kendrick Perkins on Monday. Kendrick Perkins has his new book out, and they sent that to us, so we should have Kendrick Perkins on Monday next week for sure, but the last I heard from him, he said Monday is the target date, so keep that in mind.
Got a lot of reading to do this weekend.
But, all right, so guys, you're stuck with me. That's the way. Kev Nash checking out. We'll be back in just a moment. Kenner and Kev. 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast partly cloudy, slight chance of snow and 30 tonight. And then a slight chance of snow, partly to mostly sunny and 49 for Saturday. And then partly sunny and 57 Sunday. I'm Rick Schremp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
By now, you should know Audio Etc. has all the same sales and deals on TVs and projectors as everyone else. But did you know we also have some of the world's best hi-fi? Hi, this is Kirby from Audio Etc. And we do have some of the best home theater high-fidelity gear on the planet. Not only do we have your favorite brands like Klipsch speakers and SVS subwoofers, but audiophile greats from Bowers & Wilkins, Kef, NAD, Marantz, Cambridge, Mark Levins.
Don't miss the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kenner Show on Facebook to follow along.
Vintage gear, a great way to afford great gear otherwise out of reach, or revisit old classics. Audio Etc. Sound advice you can trust. Audio Etc. 551 Congress Park Drive at the corner of Paragon in Centerville, or call 434-9770.
Audio Etc.'s crazy cool showroom.
Are you kidding me? Gas prices are up again? Somebody has to do something.
Well, someone did. That's why I use Upside.
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code APP70. Use code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up.
Get 11% off everything at Menards. For a beautiful look that protects and stays clean, choose Dutch Boy Paint. Get quality products with smart technology like mildew-resistant coating, stain shield, and dirt-resistant paint and primer in the award-winning Dutch Boy Twist and Pour containers. Get 11% off everything, including the full line of Dutch Boy paints at Menards. Good through March 5th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy customer.
Patriot Software Accounting is amazing. I was able to see where's all my expenses going, where's the revenue, which month had more revenue. I definitely recommend it to you guys who are a small business and need to record your expenses. And they just make it so easy. I was like, wow. Affordable and easy to use. I have recommended it to colleagues.
Easy to learn, easy to use. Small business software tailored just for you.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! Kick off your St. Patty's Day morning at Community Golf Course with the Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka on Friday, March 17th. To register and to find more information, visit wingam.com. The St. Patty's Day Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka, the spirit of Ohio.
United Rentals Spring Equipment Blowout is happening Thursday, March 23rd from 7 to 5. Skid steers, mini excavators, boom lifts, scissor lifts, forklifts, concrete tools, and more. Stop by United Rentals Spring Equipment Sale, March 23rd on Executive Boulevard in Huber Heights. And let's make a deal.
You might get wireless data everywhere, but do you have to use it all the time? If that's not really you, this TracFone. You can get the same nationwide 5G coverage as big carriers, but you pick a plan that you need for a lot less. Unlimited talk and text plans start at $15 a month, no contract. And now you can get the Samsung Galaxy A03s for just $49.99. TracFone. Now you're in control. While supplies last, 1 month equals 30 days. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 85% water, right?
85% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Ooh, pass me the intercom thingy.
Attention shoppers. If you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Don't pay for water. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods.
Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Hey, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 WINGAM.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Kev Nash just popped out. So you're back with me, just solo once again. But keep in mind, if you want to message into the show, you could do so. It's actually pretty simple because, for one, we are live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. So make sure you go and check that out, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. I'm urging you to follow and like the show page because we put a lot of content on that page throughout the day leading into the show. We interact with you, pre and post show, during the show. But then we also pull your comments in, and, your profile picture is on full display for everybody. So it's a lot of fun. We've really built this up over the last couple of years. And we always appreciate the interaction. However, you can call into the show at 518-1410, but with that same number, you can text us 518-1410. There's definitely not a shortage of ways for you to be involved with what we're doing here, at 1410 ESPN Radio. Okay, so I want to pick up on something that Kev and I were just recently talking about on the previous part of the show. The fact that we are talking so much about Ohio State quarterbacks at this point is pretty fascinating to me, and here's why. I don't disagree with the narrative out there that Buckeye quarterbacks can't play in the NFL. And I know people get real defensive of that, but let's be honest. Until we see a breakthrough or a breakout star, a breakout Buckeye quarterback come into the league and have success and do what we see Patrick Mahomes doing, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, and I don't care what you guys say, he is not a Buckeye. I mean, he may have graduated from Ohio State, but when we're talking sports, we're not talking academics here. We're talking sports, and we know that the overlap between academics and sports doesn't exist. We like to pretend it does, but it doesn't. Let's just be clear. He's not a Buckeye. He's a scholar Buckeye, but he's not an athletic Buckeye. He couldn't get it done there. But the point is Joe Burrow is definitely getting it done here. Who cares if he didn't get it done at Ohio State? He's getting it done in the NFL, and you Bengals fans are very happy for that. But we haven't yet to see a Buckeye quarterback come into the league and do what Joe Burrow is doing and do what Justin Herbert is doing, Trevor Lawrence. And it's, a little alarming at times. I mean, look, the bottom line is that we watch programs like Alabama who do nothing but win and win at such a high level, okay? And they put guys like Tua Tagovailoa into the NFL. Say what you want about him. Is he as elite as Joe Burrow and some of these other guys? No, he is not. However, he's still playing at a very high level in the NFL, assuming that the concussions don't continue to play a role in the decline of his career. We just watched, of course, in the Super Bowl in Jalen Hurts. Now, I know Oklahoma gets defensive. By the way, I don't think that the Oklahoma fans getting annoyed with Alabama. Alabama has more claim and stake in Jalen Hurts than Ohio State does with Joe Burrow. Jalen Hurts had success at Alabama. He won SEC championships. All right. He led them to a national championship game. All right. Joe Burrow lost multiple quarterback battles. There is nothing about Joe Burrow's Buckeye career that you can compare that situation to what's going on between Oklahoma and Alabama as far as that's concerned. But the point is Jalen Hurts, although his final season was at Oklahoma, he spent the majority of his college athletic career with the Crimson Tide. So let's just be real as far as that's concerned. And then now Mac Jones coming into the fold, Bryce Young. I mean, every couple years we are watching Alabama put quarterbacks into the pros who are having success. And Bryce Young is projected to have a lot of success. To be fair to Mac Jones, there was people that said, if you put him in the right spot, he'll have a great career in the NFL. And the Patriots was kind of that one spot that everyone thought that they could maximize him. Look, he's won games. It's not great. He's not elite. He's not Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence or anything along those lines. But, he's winning football games. Who knows what the long-term future for Mac Jones is in the NFL, but he's getting it done. So we say all of this, okay, as we sit here right now, and we think about Ohio State. Why is it that when Clemson gets elite-level quarterbacks, those guys hit in the NFL? Trevor Lawrence is hitting in the NFL. Oregon gets a big-name quarterback in Justin Herbert. He hits in the NFL. Alabama, we just went through the list. Tua, he works in the NFL. Mac Jones is working in the NFL. Jalen Hurts just led his team to the Super Bowl and is about to get paid and get paid big time, right? We're about to see Bryce Young potentially either go number 1 or number 2 as far as quarterbacks go in the upcoming NFL draft. Why are these other programs who Ohio State's, I think, is a program ahead of some of these? Why is the narrative still exist that Buckeye quarterbacks can't get it done in the NFL? Whatever the reason is, to be fair, there is a certain side of me that says, well, it's not Ryan Day or, back then Urban Meyer or Jim Tressel or whoever. It's not really their job to make sure that they're NFL ready. Their job is to develop these guys to be the best college football quarterback that they could potentially be to put the Buckeyes in position to win a national championship. So that's kind of where I get that. But at the same time, we have officially entered the realm of, well, right now, it kind of, you check off a lot of boxes. If you develop him into an NFL star, that's not hurting your college football program, right? Like, so it's kind of a strange, path that you can go down as far as what narrative you want to go with. The bottom line is I do think that we are trending in the right direction as far as us being able to put to bed the narrative that Buckeye quarterbacks can't get it done in the NFL. I think Justin Fields is a really, really good NFL quarterback. Is he more Mac Jones? Like, is he going to be on the path of having a very average career like Mac Jones, but being able to last in the league? Who knows? Or is we going to see him take off this year and have more of a career like what we're watching from Jalen Hurts? Keep in mind, Jalen Hurts was not good last year. He was not very good. I mean, I remember watching the Eagles in the playoffs that the previous season, say that is one of the worst offenses I've ever seen. The Eagles are going to truck him back out here next year so that they can finally just decide, okay, does he have it or not? I don't believe that they were super confident in him after that year. I believe they're super confident in him now. If a team wraps their arms around Justin Fields the way the Eagles wrap their arms around Jalen Hurts, could we see Justin Fields be that breakout quarterback star in 2023 the way we just watched it happen with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles? That's the big question mark. But Kev Nash and I had a conversation to open up the show about CJ Stroud and Justin Fields. When you look at the trajectory for both of these quarterbacks, again, two Buckeye quarterbacks right now who've emerged in the league, or who CJ Stroud's about to emerge in the league, we've seen 2 years of Justin Fields, and the homer side of us wants to believe that there's that Jalen Hurts quality star in there somewhere. And I think that that's still a possibility. But I do know this, that if he wasn't a Buckeye, would we bend over backwards trying to convince people that Justin Fields is the real deal, but that the team is holding him back? All while watching quarterbacks come into the league and flourish, even going to bad organizations. The Jaguars, who have never been known for winning, Trevor Lawrence has turned that around. The Cincinnati Bengals, a joke of a franchise. Joe Burrow goes there, and they're one of the top teams in the National Football League right now. Like, I get it that, we want to blame these organizations, but at a certain point, organizations go all in when they feel like they have a quarterback that is worth going all in for. The Eagles felt Jalen Hurts was worth going all in for. The Bengals definitely believed that Joe Burrow was worth going all in for. The Jacksonville Jaguars thought they were doing what was best by going after Urban Meyer, but they also had no problem pulling the trigger before the full season was even done because they realized that we have a star quarterback and we can't afford to screw this up any more than we already have. They invested wholeheartedly, and now look. Like, this is why sometimes when I look at the Ravens situation with Lamar Jackson, who is, by the way, an MVP, he's a stud, he's a star in the league, don't get me wrong, but sometimes the teams tell you what they truly think about the evaluation of their quarterback. The Chicago Bears are telling you, we don't know what we have with Justin Fields. We don't know if he's worth it to go all in for, right? The Ravens are telling you the same thing. We don't know if he's worth it to go all in for. The Browns at one point thought Baker was like, well, he's good. And we've seen enough signs from him that I believe we could justify going all out to go trade for an Odell Beckham Jr. We can make Austin Hooper one of the highest paid tight ends at that time, make him one of the highest paid tight ends at that moment. You know what I mean? Like going all out, going to get Kareem Hunt. Like they believed that Baker Mayfield was good enough for them to go all in. Now, it didn't work. But the point is, teams tell you if they believe that their quarterback is worth going all in for. And the Bears are not giving us that vibe right now about Justin Fields. So Kevin and I discussed in the last part of the show, which Buckeyes quarterback will get to the NFL playoffs first, CJ Stroud or Justin Fields? Because the thing is, although Justin Fields has a leg up on CJ Stroud because he's been in the league for 2 years, heading into year 3, as CJ Stroud will be entering his rookie season, most likely with the Houston Texans, but of course a lot can change between now and then. They pretty much are starting on equal footing because of the fact that the Chicago Bears are a train wreck. They have literally no talent on this roster, but they do have $100 million in cap space, and they're going to be pretty, and a lot of draft picks. So they're going to be pretty aggressive. The number 1 overall draft pick on top of that, they're going to be pretty aggressive this upcoming offseason. The Houston Texans, they moved on from Deshaun Watson. They got a ton of draft picks. They have no big dollars on the books. They have a ton of cap space as well. They're sitting at about $40 million right now in cap space. And once they restructure some of the remaining deals and cut certain guys, they're going to be in that 60 to 70 range. So they're going to have a ton of money to spend. CJ Stroud and Justin Fields are almost, despite Fields being in the league 2 more years than Stroud at this point, they're almost starting from the same starting block. So Kevin and I discussed which quarterback is going to have the best chance to get to the playoffs first. While everyone truly believes that it's going to be Justin Fields, there is a part of me that does believe that if the Houston Texans do go all in on CJ Stroud, if they draft CJ Stroud, they're going all in. No matter who drafts CJ Stroud, they're going all in. Whatever team is picking there at the top, whether it is the Bears, whether it is the Texans, whether the Colts move up, whoever does it, they are going to build around that stud quarterback. They're going to build around Stroud. They're going to bring in wide receivers. They're going to pay for him. They're going to draft him. They're going to put an offensive line in front of them. They have a very hot and up-and-coming head coach, obviously, D'Amico Ryan with the Texans, of course. So I think that they are going all in. The Texans are tired of losing. They're ready to win. They're ready to put the Deshaun Watson days behind them. They are ready to win, and they want to win now. I honestly think that CJ Stroud has, despite the fact that he has not played in the league at all, I think he has a leg up on Justin Fields despite him being in the league for 2 years, because the one thing that's the one big difference, at least as we sit here in late February, the big difference between CJ Stroud and Justin Fields, whoever takes CJ Stroud, they're all in. They're going to wrap their arms around him. They're going to put every piece of talent around him. They have draft capital. They have obviously a ton of cap space. They are going to go all in for CJ Stroud and make sure that they capitalize on this rookie deal. Justin Fields, on the other hand, despite the fact that he showed extreme athletic prowess last year and the ability to do something that we've only seen twice, which is a quarterback rush for over 1,000 yards in the season. We saw it from Michael Vick. We saw it from, of course, Lamar Jackson, and now from Justin Fields. But here's the deal. Whether you guys think it's right or wrong, Lamar Jackson is a prime example as to why the Bears are probably dragging their feet with Justin Fields. The reason the Bears haven't fully committed to Justin Fields is because although we as fans enjoy the electric atmosphere of watching quarterbacks run all over the field and do things that 90% of the other quarterbacks in the league can't do, owners don't like that. That's why the Ravens are dragging their feet with this Lamar thing. Like, they know Lamar's great. They know they win a ton of games with him. They know that he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But what they also know is that with the guy that plays as reckless as he does because of the style of play, it's not worth the fully guaranteed money. They're not going all in for Lamar. The Bears aren't going all in for Justin Fields. I say CJ Stroud has the best chance to get to the NFL playoffs first. I think he gets there before Justin Fields. I think CJ Stroud ultimately ends up having a more successful start to his career than Fields. Fields has a shot. The Bears have to decide, though. They have to decide quick. I don't know what the trade market's going to be for a Justin Fields. If the Bears do decide to move on from Fields, if they decide to trade him, they're going to get maybe a first, maybe a second and a third. Who knows? But I have a hard time believing that wherever the situation for Fields is in 2023, that it's going to be better than what CJ Stroud finds himself in, because both are with teams who are not very good right now. Stroud most likely going to the Texans or whoever he ends up with, very similar to the Bears. Not good, not in contention for the playoffs as of right now, but they're going to places where they're going to have a ton of assets and they will go all in. If the Bears do decide to move on from Fields and they draft CJ Stroud, then they will go all in. They'll same thing with Bryce Young. They're going to go all in. Right now, the Bears are telling you, we don't even know if we want Justin Fields. Well, right now, there's a ton of NFL teams who are debating whether or not they want to trade up to take CJ Stroud. People want CJ Stroud. Whoever drafts him, they're going to go all in. And the Bears don't even know if the guy that they've had for the last 2 years is the guy of the future for them. CJ Stroud's going to be the better Buckeye in the pros. Fields is still going to be very good. But I think that because of the situation with Stroud coming in, I think Stroud's going to be a better Buckeye quarterback when it's all said and done. I'm Justin Kinner and Kev right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Kev Nash opened up the show with us today. Of course, we opened up with cap or no cap, and then we did the hurry up. And now, of course, we're kind of branching off a bit. Kev had to pop out for a doctor's appointment. He'll be back starting full-time next week. Keep that in mind. But I did want to kind of break this down a little bit. I love CJ Stroud. I love Justin Fields. But if you're making me choose of which quarterback is going to see the playoffs first, I believe it's going to be CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud's going to have the better start to his career than Justin Fields. And I think CJ Stroud, because of a team wrapping their arms around him in the early going and investing into him more than what we saw from Fields, I think that's why we're going to see Stroud have the better career. And I think we're going to see him get to the playoffs right away. Don't be surprised if the Texans are in the playoffs this upcoming season. Don't be surprised. Because at the end of the day, right now, we always see 8 teams that make the playoffs one year always miss, and teams that we always see a handful of teams that miss the playoffs one year make it the next. It could be the Houston Texans. They're playing in the AFC South. The Titans, they're losing more guys than bringing guys in. The Jaguars are going to be very tough. The Colts will be improved. I think the Texans, if they get CJ Stroud, that's going to be the next team in the AFC that takes off the way we've seen pretty much every other team who gets a young rookie quarterback that is the real deal. And I believe that's going to be CJ Stroud, assuming that the Texans draft him. All right, what say you? 518-1410, text into the show your thoughts. Which quarterback is going to be the better of the two? Which quarterback will make the playoffs first? We've got a couple text messages that have come in. Again, we'll take calls in a little bit, but right now all of our interaction with you is through the text line, 518-1410. This comes in from Eric. Eric, hope you're doing well. Eric Texan says, first of all, he's a big fan of CJ Stroud, big fan of the Buckeyes, but he has a hard time believing that if the Bears do move on from Fields, that Fields will be able to salvage his career. Here's the thing, too, about Fields. There's not one example in the NFL of a quarterback that teams have given up on that all of a sudden ended up being a superstar, that turned into an elite level quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, this idea that, the Browns made a mistake moving on from Baker and that Baker was going to go on to thrive somewhere else. Like, no, the Browns made the right decision, right? Like, and we don't say that often, but there's very rarely, if ever, do we see like when we say teams make a mistake, I don't know the last time a team made a mistake moving on from a quarterback. We might see it with the Ravens if they end up losing Lamar, but I can't think of a team that has ever moved on from a quarterback and then we said, man, they really screwed up. Not once. That's why I like Stroud's chances better. If the Bears, after 2 years, don't buy into what they see, I have a hard time believing that something's all of a sudden going to switch and all of a sudden they're going to be like, man, we're just so in love with Justin Fields moving forward. What say you? Keep the text coming in, 518-1410. Kinner and customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, it's secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/Kinner, Kinner. That's FanDuel.com/Kinner to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and older and present in Ohio. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Kick off your St. Patty's Day morning at Community Golf Course with a half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka on Friday, March 17th. To register and to find more information, visit wingam.com. The St. Patty's Day half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka, the spirit of Ohio.
Need an online notary? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. We can notarize your documents remotely at no charge to you. All you need is a smartphone or laptop. Visit courthouse2u.com for more info.
Are you ready for tax season?
Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment. Or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
Amsoil, the #1 in synthetic lubricants since 1972. The Colonel here for Homestead Feed and Supply. Whether it's motorcycles, small engines, diesel, or high-performance gasoline, we got it. Come see us, Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
O'Reilly.
Need new wiper blades but not sure which ones are right for you? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. We'll show you options for your vehicle and even install your new wiper blades for free. Right now, save $10 per pair on Bosch Focus wiper blades so you can see better in any weather. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Kenner and Cav live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Phone lines are open, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Appreciate the interaction, of course, whenever it does come to the last part. We're talking about Justin Fields against CJ Stroud. Look, the bottom line is, yes, that narrative has existed for quite some time that Buckeye quarterbacks just can't make it in the NFL. But I do think that is going to be, I think that we're going to see Fields and Stroud put that narrative to rest, to a certain extent. But let's go to Tim. Packers fan Tim, I believe, is online with us. Tim, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Hey, it pains me to say this a little bit because I'm a Packers fan, but the Bears are not going to get rid of Justin Fields. He's going to be a great player. I mean, I think they're going to build around him. If I was a Bears fan, I'd be very excited about the future. They've got their quarterback. They've got picks. They've got a ton of money. They, cleared everything. They did all their pruning already. That's kind of a tough thing to do. They've done all of that. The Bears they're going to get to the playoffs, I think, before Houston. Houston's got a lot of problems. I think the Bears have done everything right. We've seen a side of Justin Fields that, a lot of didn't realize, how good he is. The guy is big, strong, fast, elusive. We know that watching him play in college, he can throw the football. I saw him make some really good throws here in the NFL. So I think he's not going anywhere. They're not going to trade him away. And when I listen to Chicago radio, I don't hear much of that talk. I hear more people talking about building around Justin Fields. So that's my 2 cents.
No, and look, but the thing that's wild about this is just that, like, and maybe this has happened, and again, we're in Ohio, so it's not like everything that comes out of the Bears front office is breaking news here. But I mean, it's like, why haven't they come out yet and said, hey, that's our guy, that's our, I mean, hell, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tim, have come out and said Kyle Trask is their guy. I mean, the Buccaneers have put out a more public vote of confidence in Kyle Trask than what we've seen the Bears do with Fields. I'm not saying you're wrong, and I hope that that's the case, but it's just one of those things where something feels off with the Bears and Justin Fields. It just seems like they haven't fully committed yet. That's just the way I view it, but it'll be interesting to see. I think once you finally get into the portion where you're signing free agents, that's where the Bears are going to tell you, hey, we're spending all this money on wide receivers and offensive talent because we have our quarterback. They're not going to do that if they don't feel like they already have their quarterback on the roster, I guess.
Exactly, and it's not time for that yet. I mean, they can't do that yet. And I think once that opens up, I think we're going to see the Bears making great, free agent signings. We're going to see them making some great draft picks. They might do some of the signings after but I think the Bears are a good organization. They've had a tough go. They missed on a couple of these quarterback picks, but I think they're doing everything the right way. Like I say, I'm not a Bears fan. I like to see me playing games with quarterbacks and stuff, but Justin is, he's their guy. And I do listen to some Chicago sports talk radio and follow some of the Bears stuff online. And I think there's maybe a case where they don't need to say that. And they also may want to keep other, teams in the dark. I mean, you got the number one pick. I think it does them, it's to their benefit to at least publicly be keeping their cards close to their vest as far as being able to get the most they can for that pick. I just don't see Justin Fields going anywhere. And I've heard some crazy speculation and things, but I think he's going to be there. They're going to build a great team around him.
Yeah,
a very good team. I hope it's not great. They're going to get some great players.
The thing is, I don't see the Bears using that number one overall pick to draft a player if it's not a quarterback. So the thing is, it's like, between now and the draft, and there's still, my God, there's plenty of time. It's just one of those things where if they know Justin Fields is their guy, then I think that a public vote of confidence basically sends a message to every team out there. Hey, we have our quarterback, which means this number one overall pick, it's up for grabs because we don't need to draft a quarterback. So it's like the sooner they come out and do that.
They're going to trade on draft day. They're going to trade on draft night. It's going to be right before the pick is probably when they're going to announce that trade because they want to they want people thinking, hey, we might get rid of this guy. We might keep this pick ourselves. We might then trade Justin Fields or something. They're going to wait till watch. We're going to see draft night right before that pick is announced. That's when they're going to announce the trade. And we're going to see him just drop a little bit to somewhere else in the top 10. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents worth. Fun show as always.
Hey, always appreciate hearing from you. I hope you have a great weekend, Tim. Thank you.
Thanks. You too.
All right. It will be interesting again. It just like I said, if you're just tuning in and picking up from where we left off the last part of the show, it's just one of those things where CJ Stroud, like let's say the Houston Texans take CJ Stroud. I mean, they have a ton of cap space. They have a ton of draft capital from trading Deshaun Watson. They have all the resources in the world to put a quick winner around CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or whoever they draft quarterback-wise. I mean, the fascinating thing about this draft is we're talking so much about Bryce Young and CJ Stroud that there's a name that keeps moving up the ranks right now from the quarterback position, of course, and that's the Richardson kid, the quarterback from Florida. I mean, people are saying he's Cam Newton and Justin Fields combined. Now, from Richardson, I never saw Cam Newton style of play or Justin Fields level of play when he was in college. So unless they mean, hey, he plays like Cam Newton when he was with the Patriots and Justin Fields with the Bears, I don't know if that's a high compliment or not, but we'll figure that out. But CJ Stroud goes to the Texans. They're going to wrap their arms around him. They're going to fully embrace it. And the way I view this, the vibe I get, the Bears, they have not fully embraced Justin Fields, even from the night that they drafted him. They have yet to fully embrace Justin Fields. That's why I think CJ Stroud's going to be the more successful of the two. But I appreciate Tim. Tim's a Packers fan, so he, just like we pay attention to the Ravens and the Steelers, and you guys pay attention to what the Browns do and vice versa. He does that in his division with the Packers, of course, and the Bears. So he has a good feel for where he thinks that team's going as well. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-497-9090. That's 800-497-9090. 800-497-9090.
If you're looking to obtain a quality education at a low price, look no further than Clark State. With over 160 degrees and certificates available, Clark State has a path for you to reach your goals. Our tuition rates are one of the lowest in Ohio, so getting that degree is easier than ever without breaking the bank. For more information about Clark State, visit us at www.clarkstate.edu.
A new year and a new career. KTH Parts Industries has immediate openings. Second shift production associates and equipment technicians. Material handling experience is a plus. This is an excellent new opportunity that offers an attractive benefit package, medical, dental, 401k, attendance bonus, and a new competitive wage starting at $19.83 per hour with annual increases. KTH is hosting open interviews Monday through Friday from 7:30 a.m. through 3 p.m. Visit kth.net. KTH is an equal opportunity employer.
Staples stores are a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore more at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs.
I never thought I'd care about gardening until I bought a house in the suburbs. But now I find myself in conversations about liquid fertilizer, and I wonder, am I the fertilizer guy now? No way. Everyone knows the ratio between phosphorus and nitrogen, right? Yeah, I'm still totally cool.
Anyway, when you save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto, that's the easy part of adjusting to the suburbs. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hi, Sarah. I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't help that gas prices have skyrocketed. I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
Everyone's talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah, real cash every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
I've made around $200 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN50 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EARN50 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code EARN50 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Another hour, Kidder and Kev, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. So we talked about this earlier in the week, and then some of these, not rumors, I guess, but some of these reports were kind of shot down a little bit. So Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, a very average quarterback. I think that's safe to say. And by the way, some people, when you say that, when you say a quarterback is average, you realize how good you have to be considered average in the National Football League. I think Daniel Jones and Mac Jones and quarterbacks like that, like average quarterbacks, like it's tough to even find those. There's a reason that the Patriots, and by the way, I think that the average quarterback is the most dangerous quarterback you can have in the NFL. I think Daniel Jones is the most dangerous quarterback in the NFL to have, and here's why. When the Browns had Baker Mayfield, they had a quarterback that was sporadic, that turned the ball over, that was a head case, that at times showed you glimpses of a guy that you could win a lot of football games with, and that at times you felt like he had the personality to lead a locker room, but he had just enough flaws that made you believe, yeah, we're going to move on. I would rather have Baker Mayfield than Daniel Jones. Now, you may think, oh my gosh, what a silly comment. The reason I would rather have a Baker Mayfield than a Daniel Jones is because Baker Mayfield's easier to move off of. His flaws outweigh his strengths, and there were strengths of Baker Mayfield, but the flaws totally outweighed those. And it may, obviously getting a Deshaun Watson kind of makes it a little easier to move on from Baker Mayfield, but the Browns had already made up their mind that they were going to go in a different direction quarterback wise, one way or another. And I think that process started even before they got Deshaun Watson. But the reason I say Daniel Jones is a dangerous quarterback is because of this. Daniel Jones is Andy Dalton. Now, some of you Bengals fans who, aren't the biggest Andy Dalton fans kind of know that Andy Dalton still a pretty solid quarterback. Like, I know right now you guys are being spoiled with Joe Burrow, but before that, the Andy Dalton ceiling was kind of what you guys had to convince yourself was the best that you could do for that period of time. And Andy Dalton also was another very dangerous quarterback, just like Daniel Jones. Was he a well-polished quarterback? Was he a top 5, top 10 quarterback? Was he an elite level quarterback? No. But Daniel Jones does just enough things to help you win football games, and he doesn't lose you football games. Andy Dalton always did plenty to win you football games. He didn't lose you a lot of football games, but he also didn't go out and take over games. Like Joe Burrow goes out and wins you football games. Andy Dalton does just enough things right to keep you in the game to allow your team strength to win you those games, right? Like, that's Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over this year. He made just enough plays in the pass game to be effective, but he didn't lose his team games. He didn't get in the way. He was a turnover machine before Brian Daboll got there. He turned the ball over constantly. He didn't turn the ball over this past season. He didn't stall drives. He didn't, in game-winning drives, he didn't turn it over and kill his team's chances losing football games. He let the run game and the defense win them football games. That's a dangerous quarterback. As a team owner, I don't want that quarterback. Andy Dalton was the worst quarterback in the world for the Bengals because you can't move on from him. Because you can't find Andy Daltons. You can't find the Daniel Jones of the world. So what ends up happening is because you have that quarterback, you're terrified to move on from that quarterback. You do silly things. Now, the Bengals never really did anything horrible with Andy Dalton like that. I remember when he got the extension. I don't remember. Was it $25 million? Or what was the number he got that at that time, like now the number we roll our eyes at it, but at the time, I remember, I think it was Martin Neal who was doing the show at the time, and I remember being in and just the, people going crazy and pissed off that the Bengals extended Andy Dalton. And the thing is what was your alternative? So the Giants, what's your alternative? If you don't want to extend Daniel Jones, what's your alternative? What do you want to do? Who else is out there? Who's out there that's a significant enough upgrade that you can risk moving on from Daniel Jones, and hopefully you land that guy? They are the most dangerous quarterbacks in the world because when you have them, they're tough to find. It's tough to find a Daniel Jones, a guy that'll do just enough to win you football games, but he won't lose you games. There's plenty of guys that have enough talent that can win you. Baker Mayfield's arm strength and his ability in the pass game can win you football games, but he's going to lose you a lot. Right? He's going to lose you a lot. I'll take the arm talent of Baker Mayfield over Daniel Jones. I would take the arm talent of Baker Mayfield over Andy Dalton. But what I would not take of Baker Mayfield's over Andy Dalton or Daniel Jones is the he presses too much. He loses his team games. And he wasn't clutch. Like those were the things that were frustrating about Baker Mayfield. Like he would lead you on drives that you're like, holy crap, where's that guy been? And then he would remind you very quickly, especially in crunch time, oh yeah, that's why we haven't married this guy yet. Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback to have because he makes it easier to sign the divorce papers. It's hard to divorce Daniel Jones. It was hard for the Bengals to divorce Andy Dalton. It got a little dicey. The only reason they moved on from Andy Dalton, and it's not because they wanted to keep him over the rookie quarterback in Joe Burrow at the time. The only reason they moved on from him is because they could not afford to pay Andy Dalton, $17 to $18 million a season to be a backup quarterback to Joe Burrow at the time. It's the only reason that they moved on from him. So I say this because Daniel Jones has now put the Giants in a very uncomfortable situation. Daniel Jones has done something to the Giants that Andy Dalton never did to the Bengals, but he wants $45 million a year. Now, Kevin and I, we talked about this, I think, on Tuesday, and some reports had kind of refuted that and said, that's not necessarily true. Well, more reports came out today that said, yes, Daniel Jones and his camp for sure have told the Giants that he wants $45 million a year. That he believes he is worth $45 million a year. And you can believe you're worth whatever the hell you want. I get that in our society, we don't want to hurt people's feelings. And, we always do the thing where, remember when you were little and your mom told you could be anything you want to be? That's not always true. I think that's a bogus lie. Like, I don't have kids. Maybe if I have kids, I'll start buying into that BS too, where I'll tell them they could be anything they want to be. But the life sucks. The world sucks. You can't always be anything you want to be. That's just the reality of it. Bottom line. So you could want to be a quarterback that makes $45 million a year. It doesn't mean that you're going to be. And I don't think he's going to be. The bottom line is this, is that the Giants, he's a quarterback that the Giants could have moved off from. And I think that it took a full season for the Giants to decide if they wanted Daniel Jones anyways. And that was before he was asking for $45 million, but he did just enough. I thought it was kind of silly for the Giants to say, oh, for sure, he's our quarterback of the future. I'm like, really? Like, I know it's tough to find the Daniel Joneses of the world, but you look around the league, look how quickly teams turn it around. The Bengals had to lose a lot of games in 2019, but you got Joe Burrow, and 2 years later, you're in a Super Bowl. The Jaguars had to lose a ton of games, but they get Trevor Lawrence, and look what they did in year 2 with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, they were right there in the thick of things against the Chiefs in the divisional round with a shot to get to the AFC Championship, a matchup that would have potentially led to the Bengals hosting that game, by the way. We got to stop acting like, that our teams have to be desperate and marry these average quarterbacks. I think that teams need to be more cutthroat. I mean, the Ravens are being more cutthroat with Lamar as far as not giving him that fully guaranteed money than a team like the Giants are being when it comes to an average quarterback in Daniel Jones. Being average quarterback, that's not an insult. It's just the reality of it. But I'm curious people's thoughts on this because $45 million a year, I'm sorry. I think that's ridiculous. And for everyone out there that rips the Cleveland Browns for giving Deshaun Watson fully guaranteed money, let's be clear here. I think if I own an NFL team and I'm initially upset that the Browns gave a fully guaranteed contract to Deshaun Watson, although I'm pissed about that, the thing about it is there's a lot of owners, and we found out yesterday that was the case, okay? Jack Duffin with 24/7 Sports, Orange and Brown Report, okay? His main role with that, outlet is to cover the salary cap. And I specifically asked him yesterday, I said, the Browns have been painted as this team, as this horrible team that gave that were the only team willing to give fully guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson. He said that was absolutely not the case. He said he had multiple offers on the table. He went with the Browns. He was between the Falcons and the Browns. And at one point, he initially let the Browns know that they were kind of out of the running. They came back and said, okay, because he wanted fully guaranteed money. He was kind of leaning towards the Falcons because he was more comfortable there. But then the Browns came back with the fully guaranteed money. Now, people say that that's the only place that he would have gone. That's not the case because when the Browns came back with that, multiple teams stepped up and also offered the fully guaranteed money contract. Y'all forget about that. Y'all think that the Browns they're just a desperate team. The reason I bring this up is because if I own an NFL team and I'm mad at the Browns for what they did, the bottom line is there were a lot of teams who were willing to give Deshaun that fully guaranteed money, as we found out yesterday with Jack Duffin. Because owners know that although we don't want to give up that fully guaranteed money, winning, it's kind of hard to put you can't be cheap when it comes to winning. The Ravens are about to be cheap, and it's going to cost them a lot. To me, not paying Lamar Jackson, not them losing Lamar Jackson because they're being cheap is going to cost them more than it would to just pay him. So I say this because when I look at Daniel Jones and I see the market for quarterbacks, if I'm an owner, I am more pissed at the Giants for giving Daniel Jones $45 million a year than I would be at the Browns for giving fully guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson. And by the way, I get that the hip cool thing now is to just crap all over the Cleveland Browns. And if that makes you feel better and sleep better at night, more power to you. It don't bother me one bit. I think you sound silly when you do it, to be quite honest with you, because everyone's ripping the Browns because they did whatever it took to get a quarterback. You call it desperation. I call it common sense. If they roll out a $40 million contract for Baker Mayfield, you guys rip them for that. They go fully guaranteed to get an elite quarterback in Deshaun Watson, and you guys ripped, that's reeks of desperation. What are you talking about? Your team's about to do the same thing. So knock it off with this holier-than-thou approach. I think it's more disrespectful to the game to give Daniel Jones Patrick Mahomes money. I think that hurts the game. I think when you take quarterbacks that should be in a certain price range and you elevate them, there are more average quarterbacks in the league than there are elite. So how many teams are really going to be put in a situation where they have to make the Browns decision of paying elite money? Not many. But you know how many teams would have to make a decision on average quarterbacks in that 40 to 45 mil range? There's plenty of them. I think the Daniel Jones money that he's wanting will hurt the league more or will hurt owners more than the Deshaun Watson contract. The Deshaun Watson contract, that's just you guys being a bunch of crybabies about it. It don't hurt nobody. It doesn't hurt you. It definitely, if anything, if it's so bad, why are you so angry about it? Because you're mad that the Browns finally got their quarterback. That's why you guys are mad. You guys should be mad about the Daniel Jones thing because if your team doesn't have a quarterback, like if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I'm paying attention to the Giants right now because let's say, that their quarterback, let's say Kenny Pickett takes a major stride next year and that he becomes, a very, very good quarterback. He's not elite, but let's say he throws for about, 3,500 yards and he throws for close to 20 touchdowns. That's a solid, cute little season. But that's better than what Daniel Jones just did, who's about to get 45 mil if the Giants cave. If I'm the ownership of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm not mad at the Browns for giving fully guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson. I'm looking at the Giants saying, you better not give him that money because that puts the Steelers in a tough situation. It puts the Patriots in a tough spot because when Mac Jones, it's time for him to get paid. He's going to look at Daniel Jones and say, hey, I'm just as average as that dude. I want that same contract. The Daniel, keep an eye on it. The likelihood of him getting that, I don't know, but it is something to keep an eye on. Don't tell me that Deshaun Watson just ruined the entire quarterback market. Daniel Jones getting Patrick Mahomes money. There is way more teams that are against paying a Daniel Jones that Patrick Mahomes money than there are teams to pay, an elite quarterback Deshaun money. It's as simple as that. I am curious your thoughts, though. 518-1410, 518-1410. Jeremy Shaner on Facebook says Dalton got a 6-year, $115 million extension from the Bengals back in 14. Dan Flouty says the Bengals passed on Mahomes because they had Dalton already and picked John Ross. That's pretty bad. Okay, you know what? You got me on that one. You're right. My bad. You're right. That was pretty bad. But, here's the only thing, Dan, I'll say about this Patrick Mahomes thing. There's a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, you look at this draft coming up. It's CJ Stroud and Bryce Young that everyone's talking about. The likelihood of those two quarterbacks being the best two are pretty slim. Lamar, when you think about look at the whatever year that was it 18 with Baker's class? Everyone talked about, of course, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. And then Josh Rosen was the one that came, firing up from behind, and everyone was talking about him, and ended up being two guys that got talked about but not drooled over, and that was Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So I know what you're saying. So I'm only defending the Bengals slightly. It's easy to look back and, the Browns passed on Deshaun initially. The Browns passed on Patrick Mahomes. A lot of teams did. Patrick Mahomes wasn't viewed as Patrick Mahomes during that draft. I mean, I know we could say, well, it's your job to scout and know, but let's be clear. I mean, I'm not saying the Chiefs got lucky, but sometimes there are just unexplainable things like Lamar. Look how many teams passed on Lamar, and look what he turned into. But no one really saw Lamar turning into what he turned into, right? So I'm defending your team. I'm defending the Bengals. I can't believe it. But I'm always not a big fan of those who say, man, I can't believe you passed on that guy. Keep in mind, right now, he's a 2-time MVP, a 2-time Super Bowl winner, a 2-time Super Bowl MVP winner. But that's not who the Bengals passed on at that time. It's not like Patrick Mahomes was being held up on a pedestal in that draft. I mean, he was a guy that got picked in the middle of the draft, and everyone's like, oh, that's a pretty solid pick. Good job. No one envisioned that the Chiefs drafted a future legend in Patrick Mahomes. So kind of defending your team slightly. All right. We'll be right back. 518-1410 thoughts. I think that if Daniel Jones ultimately gets what he is requesting in $45 million a year, I think NFL owners should be more pissed about that than about the Browns giving fully guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson. Daniel Jones is a bigger problem for NFL owners than Deshaun Watson is. 518-1410. Thumbs up, thumbs down, agree, disagree. We'll discuss next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast partly cloudy, slight chance of snow and 30 tonight. And then a slight chance of snow, partly to mostly sunny and 49 for Saturday. And then partly sunny and 57 Sunday. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. Payroll doesn't seem that hard. It's just pay rate times hours worked, right? Sounds easy enough. Well, payroll is easy as long as each employee's tax withholdings are properly set up and as long as you don't shoot yourself in the foot along the way. But payroll can be punishing for business owners like me who will assemble their kids' toys without reading the instructions first. We don't need to read instructions unless we're desperate. That's why Patriot Software offers payroll setup and support for free for businesses with up to 100 employees. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
When did life start getting so complicated? Buying a home, raising kids? Then there's insurance. What if I don't understand my policy? What if I don't have the right coverage? State Farm is there for your what ifs. You can reach them 24/7, file a claim on the State Farm mobile app, or simply call your agent to ask anything. So even if life gets tricky, insurance doesn't have to be. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today. That's statefarm.com.
Gain presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer-lasting scent.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
It's really happening. Kentucky Fried Chicken wraps are here. Grab 2 for just $5 in classic or spicy slaw. Only at KFC. That's finger licking good.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! Kick off your St. Patty's Day morning at Community Golf Course with the Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka on Friday, March 17th. To register and to find more information, visit wingam.com. The St. Patty's Day Half K Draft Dash presented by Buckeye Vodka, the spirit of Ohio.
All right, and we are back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. All right, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump back in on the conversation. So just a quick recap, and we'll move on from this part of the conversation. But yes, Dev Kleiman had tweeted out a little bit ago that some reports had shut down the notion that Daniel Jones had requested $45 million for his extension with the Giants. That was also put to bed just a little bit ago now, because he just came back out and said no, that there is a lot of truth to that, and that yes, that is what the camp of Daniel Jones is pursuing. So I quickly threw it out there that I just find it interesting that more owners are pissed off about having to pay top dollar to get an elite quarterback than they are overpaying for an average quarterback in Daniel Jones. It doesn't make any sense. Because more owners are going to be in a position where they have a Daniel Jones, and they are going to be in a position to have to make a decision on a Deshaun Watson. And we're not, and again, I don't mean the decision on Deshaun Watson as far as, the off the field stuff, but I mean, look, we know what Deshaun Watson could do on the field. I know you guys are trying to convince yourself that he is not that guy anymore. And I think it's not really that you're trying to convince yourself. I think you're just hoping. But the bottom line is, as we talked about yesterday with Jack Duffin, there were multiple teams lining up willing to give fully guaranteed money to Deshaun Watson, and he picked the Browns. Simple as that. That means everyone out there that said, well, the Browns only did this because they're a desperate franchise. No. They did it because they know common sense tells you have to have an elite quarterback. It's that simple. So I don't have an issue with what the Browns did. I have an issue with what the Giants could potentially do if they do end up giving him that money. So other news during the break that the Kansas City Chiefs have promoted Matt Nagy to offensive coordinator to replace Eric Bieniemy. So take that with, whatever grain of salt that you will, whatever that means, who knows. But I think the Chiefs will be just fine. That's not a shot at Eric Bieniemy, but look, at the end of the day, although Bieniemy had responsibilities with the Chiefs, the primary success of that organization stems from the coach-quarterback relationship, and that's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't mean that Eric Bieniemy is not a talented offensive coordinator or what have you, but the reality is that I don't think losing Bieniemy is as big a deal as what people are trying to make it out to be for the Kansas City Chiefs. And if it is, then that's a feather in the cap of Bieniemy. But if I'm a betting man, and you all know I am, I'm not putting money on the Chiefs crumbling next year because they lost Eric Bieniemy. Like, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. We'll see what success that he does have over in Washington. I think that, people talk about some people talk today about the impact he could have on Terry McLaurin's career. Let's be clear here. Eric Bieniemy's the only impact that he can have on the career of Terry McLaurin is based on whatever impact he can have on whoever the hell the quarterback is. Whoever the quarterback is for Washington, that's going to have a bigger impact on the career of Terry McLaurin. And that's really what it comes down to. But I'll give McLaurin this. McLaurin's played with a ton of average and bad quarterbacks, and yet he's been able to put up enough numbers to make him one of the highest paid wide receivers in football. So good for him. Okay, other reports that have been coming out throughout the day. It's interesting as we head into this offseason too. Like, we're not talking about, I feel like forever. Especially with as long as I've been on air here in Dayton, every offseason up until the last couple, at least the Bengals or the Browns, we're talking about some kind of quarterback controversy, whether it's what quarterback the Browns should take in the draft, whether it's the Bengals should move on and finally say, farewell to Andy Dalton or whatever. Like, the Browns and Bengals are set at quarterback now, and now the offseason gets kind of quiet. It gets kind of boring, but it doesn't mean that the quarterback conversation in the market isn't as interesting. I do find it very interesting. Look, there's a lot of free agent quarterbacks that are out there that I don't think are big names by any means, but there are a lot of teams who could potentially be this player away from taking that big step forward, whether it be a playoff or a divisional or AFC, NFC championship appearance or whatever. I will say, of all the QBs available, I don't think anyone is blank away from winning a Super Bowl, but maybe getting there. I mean, we've seen teams get to a Super Bowl with one of these guys, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. But how about this? Derek Carr, according to Dov Kleiman, that the asking price for Derek Carr is going to be roughly 30 to 35 mil. And I don't know about you, but I think that's a steal. If I'm a team owner and I had to pay 45 mil for a non-elite quarterback, I would pick Derek Carr over all the available quarterbacks that there are out there. But I think that the fact that the price range for Derek Carr is that 30 to 35 range, I think that's kind of fascinating to me, to be honest. I think that could be a hell of a deal. Jimmy Garoppolo, on the other hand, the message that has come out about, his pursuit heading into the offseason is that he is going to want top dollar. Now, I don't know what top dollar means for Jimmy Garoppolo. My thing is I do believe that the most sought after free agent quarterback out there is Derek Carr if you're a team that's in need of a quarterback. But I think if you're a team that's out there, I think that you quickly want to sign Derek Carr. If you're a team that needs a quarterback, you're hoping Derek Carr gets taken off the market pretty quickly, because if he only gets 30 to 35 mil, that's really not going to put Jimmy Garoppolo in a position to ask for that much more. But I thought that was interesting. Both quarterbacks, very similar veteran quarterbacks that can go in and help you win football games right away. I just found that kind of fascinating at the end of the day. We'll see what ends up happening as far as that's concerned. Some other NFL, again, as we get closer and closer to this, the draft, the line's going to move on which quarterbacks are the top ones. Quarterback play always fascinates me as far as that's concerned. But what about running backs? I am not a big, Browns fans, they get so mad at me because I am not a guy. I don't believe in paying the running back. I don't care. If you are a team that has a legitimate quarterback, you have no business paying a running back, period. Browns fans got mad at me because I called out the insecurities in Browns fans by saying that we need to keep Nick Chubb. First of all, I'm a big Nick Chubb fan. He is the ultimate fan favorite. But at the end of the day, for the Browns to take that next step, to be able to secure, the right positions, as far as roster construction is concerned, you don't need to invest heavily. Now that you have your elite quarterback in Deshaun Watson, you don't need an expensive running back. Well, do you need an elite running back? Yes, you do. But you can get a lot of elite running backs in the draft. Like you could, you know what I mean? Like running backs, they're easier to come by than any other position that's out there. That's a replaceable position. And when you really look at the breakdown of the National Football League, you mean to tell me that if the Browns had a chance to get Derrick Henry, you'd say no? For one, that's an awesome thought. But for one, no, I wouldn't be as excited as you guys think. We have Nick Chubb. But I think that when you look around the league, why do the Titans have Derrick Henry? Why did the Titans pump a ton of money into Derrick Henry? It's not because he's the best running back in the NFL. It's because they have Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Why did the Browns make sure that they took care of Nick Chubb the second that they had the opportunity to? It wasn't because he was the second best running back in the NFL. It's because they had Baker Mayfield at quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, why did the Bengals make sure that they took care of Joe Mixon? It's not because he's a top 5 running back in the NFL. It's because they had Andy Dalton at quarterback at the time. You know what I mean? Like, teams who don't have elite quarterbacks have to invest more into the running back because that's where they primarily run their offense through. The Dallas Cowboys, they pumped a lot of money into Ezekiel Elliott. It was a soap opera following that, that negotiation trail, if you will. The Dallas Cowboys ultimately gave him that money. Jerry Jones was dragging his feet, but he knew he had to because he knew he had a court. Like they didn't give him all that money because, man, we really love that he's a top 5 running back in the NFL. They gave Zeke that money because they have a slightly above average quarterback in Dak Prescott. You'll come across a situation like in Green Bay. They have an elite running back with Aaron Rodgers, but they also don't have money invested into other key spots or whatever. But like, if you look at how teams went, the Kansas City Chiefs, Pacheco, I mean, it's a rookie running back. You know what I mean? Like you don't need that. You could bring up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they didn't pump top dollar into Leonard Fournette, and Tom Brady wasn't one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. If you have an elite quarterback, you can draft running backs. You can fulfill your run game in the draft, and you can put your money elsewhere. My thing is this: if the Cleveland Browns have any flaws in the 2023 season, they have no one to blame but themselves. They have an elite quarterback. They're going to free up close to about $60 million in cap space, according to Jack Duffin, who is a salary cap expert for 24/7 Sports and the Orange and Brown Report. You're going to have cap space. You already have Amari Cooper, and you're going to extend Donovan Peoples-Jones. You already took care of David Njoku last year. You have one of the best offensive lines in football. Now you have a ton of cap space. You better go obviously load up that defense. But if you have any holes or flaws that you ignore to address this offseason because you have a lot of money pumped into a running back, I'm going to have a problem with that, especially because of the fact that you drafted so many running backs over the last couple of years. This whole thing that happened with Joe Mixon right as the offseason started for the Bengals, I know ultimately he was, they ended up dropping the charges or whatever. But the weird and creepy thing about Bengals fans is I almost felt like you guys were kind of like happy that happened because it was making it easier to justify moving on from Joe Mixon, because you guys all know what I know. The Bengals no longer need Joe Mixon. When they had Andy Dalton, you needed Joe Mixon. When you had a bad roster and you didn't have a lot of playmakers, you needed Joe Mixon. You don't need Joe Mixon anymore. I don't know what the Bengals are going to do in the draft, but there is a player that is getting a ton of play that I'm going to be really jealous if the Bengals end up landing this guy. But Bijan Robinson is getting a lot of buildup for this upcoming draft, the running back out of Texas. That's a guy right there. If you're a team that has an elite quarterback, you don't need to invest money. That's one reason why the Eagles said, hey, Sanders, thank you for your 1,000+ yard season, but we're not going to pay you. That's why he's a free agent coming up. The Eagles have a top 10 pick. Look out for you. Can you imagine if the Eagles end up getting Bijan Robinson? Look out. Bijan Robinson, according to NFL scouts, and this comes from Dov Kleiman, multiple NFL teams and scouts have considered Texas running back Bijan Robinson to already be a top 5 player in the draft coming up. Not top 5 running back, not top 5 offensive player. We're talking top 5 player. That's how high of a grade he is getting for this upcoming draft. Look out for Bijan Robinson. I say all of that because that's the answer right there for a lot of teams who have elite quarterbacks that are trying to decide what to do with their run game. Cincinnati, I'm looking at you. If Cincinnati's fortunate enough for a running back, because again, there's always that perception out there. You don't draft a running back in the first round, right? or at least you don't do it in the top 10. I don't see Bijan Robinson dropping that far, but I mean, my goodness, if you're Cincinnati, I would give up a little draft capital if you needed to move up to get him. I mean, that it's very important that you get a guy like that. You imagine if Joe Burrow with T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, and we've seen what, they look like with a strong run game with Joe Mixon, but now to go get 4 years of a rookie deal for a Bijan Robinson, I don't want that. I'm a Browns fan. I don't want that for the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't want the Bengals to get him, but that's something to consider. I'm just saying, if that ends up being a situation that falls into their lap, more power to them. Phil says, you act like teams are going to be lining up to trade a first-round pick for the same running back you're devaluing. What do you expect to fetch for Chubb if they deal him for max value? What are you talking about? Who am I devaluing? I'm not devaluing anybody, Phil. It's called common sense. It's called how rosters are constructed. What do you mean I'm devaluing? How am I devaluing him? You act like teams are going to be lining up to trade a first-round pick for the same running back you're devaluing. No. By the way, keep in mind, another example, the New York Giants, the reason that they entertained and that they're very close to working out a major extension with Saquon Barkley, guess what they have? An average quarterback. It's not really a hot take. It's just called look around the league. You can't name me one team that has an elite quarterback that prioritized paying the running back. It's not prioritizing the talent. I'm not telling you that, oh man, Nick Chubb's horrible, move on. No. It would be a tough decision. You would have to make that tough decision to move on from Nick Chubb. All I'm saying is I just think it's silly. The Browns have been so average and bad for so long that they're in a position now where they have to start thinking like an elite football team, and they're not doing it correctly already, in my opinion. And it starts here. $15 million a year for the running back is kind of silly. It's a passing league. It's a complimentary running league, but it's a passing league. Phil says, kid, are you high? You devalued Chubb with the very basis of your argument with that they are moving forward as a passing team. You're whack. Phil, I've promised my bosses I'm going to stop with the getting outraged and name-calling thing, but you're making it very difficult. You clearly lack comprehension in how all of this works, kid. Okay, let's be very clear here. I'm not devaluing Nick Chubb. I'm just saying it's silly to prioritize the running back position, not Nick Chubb. It's called making good business decisions. And if the Browns have any deficiencies this upcoming season, especially if they're going to clear up $60 million in cap space and they head into the season with any deficiencies while they have $15 million pumped into a running back, I'm going to have a problem with that. Kid, give me a break. Anyways. All right. Justin Kenner, Kevin Nash, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. Where are you guys on this? 518-1410. Give us a call. 518-1410. Browns fans, just football fans in general, Bengals fans. Do you agree, disagree? I think some of you are kind of, not making light of the situation that Mixon was involved in, but the vibe I got when that news came out, you guys weren't really defending him. You were kind of like, oh, good, an excuse to move on from him because it's a tough decision to move on from Mixon because he's been the one guy you can count on offensively throughout the transition of the bad into the good. So you almost feel guilty just kicking him off to the curb, but at least that would have given you a justified reason to do so. I don't know. I don't think I'm wrong on this. In fact, I know I'm not wrong on this because if you just look around the league, no team with elite quarterbacks are pumping heavy money into their running backs. It's just that it's not even a hot take. It's not even an opinion. It's just factual. Look at the league. If Nick Chubb entered the free agent market today, what teams would line up to take him? It would be teams who don't have elite quarterbacks. And why? Because you're not going to financially prioritize the running back position. It's not a hot take. It's not an opinion. It's just common sense. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
There's still time to make 2023 your best professional year yet by enhancing your credentials at Ohio Dominican University. Ohio Dominican offers master's degrees like an MBA, professional certificates, and degree completion options, all 100% online.
I would not have been able to complete that degree without the flexibility of online learning. It was a great way for me to get the credentials that I needed to do what I'm doing now.
Spring class registration ends March 16th. Get started at ohiodominican.edu/online.
Hi, Greg McAfee here with McAfee Heating and Air. There has never been a better time to start a new career. If you are 18 years or older with a high school diploma or GED and enjoy working with your hands, consider the McAfee Apprenticeship Program, where you will learn everything you need through in-class and on-the-job training. Apply today at mcair.com. That's mcair.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
United Rentals Spring Equipment Blowout is happening Thursday, March 23rd from 7 to 5. Skid steers, mini excavators, boom lifts, scissor lifts, forklifts, concrete tools, and more. Stop by United Rentals Spring Equipment Sale, March 23rd on Executive Boulevard in Huber Heights. And let's make a deal.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Hang out with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers every Monday at noon on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, live with you here on a Friday. We head into the weekend and pretty excited for the weekend. I can't believe we're already wrapping up the college basketball season. I mean, as far as like the regular season, conference tournament time coming up around the corner. I know when we started the season or coming into the season, Dayton Flyers fans weren't really circling the conference tournament as something that you guys were really looking forward to or hyping up. But the conference tournament is the golden ticket for the Flyers to get to the NCAA tournament. Obviously, injuries kind of derailed the season, never really allowed the Flyers to live up to the expectations coming in, obviously, with all of the preseason hype, preseason top 25 favorites to win the league. I mean, obviously, one of those things. I mean, look, they're still going to potentially win this league. I mean, they took care of business the other night against UMass. And now, of course, they got another big one at the arena tomorrow. In fact, Talking Out Loud with Sully will be live out at Tim's Bar and Grill tomorrow from 4 to 5:30. It'll be the Talking Out Loud Dayton Flyers pregame. But also excited for tomorrow's game as well, because Brooks Hall is going to be honored as he's inducted into the Dayton Flyers Hall of Fame. Him and a couple other former Flyers in various sports will be inducted in the 2023 Hall of Fame class. But Brooks Hall, well-deserved. In fact, I chatted with him just a little bit ago. He's going to come on the show with us next week. We got a jam-packed guest lineup for you next week. Pretty excited about that. Clark Kellogg, Brooks Hall, Kendrick Perkins. So we're looking forward to next week's lineup of shows, no doubt. But, with spring training officially getting underway for the Reds, we'll turn our attention to baseball for a little bit before they break our hearts in April. We'll get jacked up for that. But I'm really happy for Brooks. Excited to have him on the show next week. But he's going to be honored at halftime of the game tomorrow, as he'll be inducted into the UD Hall of Fame. So I'm excited for that. I know a lot of you Flyers fans will be at that game and have a chance to watch him be inducted. So pretty exciting stuff. Again, Dayton Flyers Talking Out Loud pregame show. Sully will be live at Tim's tomorrow, 4 to 5:30, right before the game, and then obviously tip off later on that evening. So keep that in mind right here at 1410 Wing AM. Sunday, Red spring training action. The Reds' first spring training game is tomorrow, actually. We will not have it on the air tomorrow, but we will have their first spring training game on Sunday. So keep that in mind, Reds fans. We talked about it yesterday. Charlie Goldsmith, who we'll have on in hour 3, he covers the Reds for the Cincinnati Enquirer. We chatted with him yesterday, and the thing that's interesting about this Reds team is the fact that, when you follow a team that's rebuilt, like depending on what kind of team you have, and we said this yesterday, depending on what kind of team you have dictates how you view the offseason. Bengals fans, this offseason for you is pretty damn boring. Browns fans, although there's a lot of question marks, and obviously there's a lot of talent that could still be added, it's kind of boring because the draft doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot because you don't really have any draft picks. So there's that, but for the longest time, the regular season, it sucked to be Browns and Bengals fans, but it was the draft season that we lived for. It was the free agency period. It was what players are we going to add to give us a chance. All that's it's a little different for us now. The Reds, the regular season's painful, but what's interesting and what's fun is this time of year, the spring training portion, because it's a chance for you to get to watch the guys like Ellie De La Cruz and some of these young guys coming up. We saw the emergence of Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Graham Ashcraft last year. And as I said, Graham Ashcraft was not a name that we were really focusing in on at this point a year ago, but he ended up forcing us to pay attention. What other young players are going to force us to pay attention to them coming up this year? I'm impatient, by the way. I know Ellie De La Cruz is not necessarily ready this exact moment to force him into the everyday lineup and to put him on the opening day roster. But man, when you're watching a team lose a lot of baseball games, I'd rather watch them lose with the must-see player. But I know the arbitration clock and all that fun stuff plays a role and wanting to hold these guys down as long as possible. I mean, that's one thing that kind of led to, if you remember back, Chris Bryant and the Chicago Cubs. I mean, ultimately, the Cubs and Chris Bryant's relationship, it got off to a very rocky and horrible start because of the way that they handled that, calling him up through the system. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with the Reds and De La Cruz, but if De La Cruz is who everyone says he is, my goodness, I'm antsy. I'm ready to watch him in the lineup. I'm ready to watch him out in the infield. That's for sure. But I'm excited about the spring training portion of the season coming up for the Reds because I know we're going to be pretty frustrated by this point at the end of April, but nonetheless. All right. Back to the comment section again. Phil is still just, he's had enough of me today. He doesn't like my take about the running backs. He says, I doubt that the Ivy League guys, talking about the Browns front office, extended Chubb last year when they are on record as having had their eyes on Watson since October of 2021. Well, Phil, I mean, you can reference the intelligence of the Ivy League guys in the front office for the Browns, all while making it obvious that you clearly are not an Ivy League individual because the Browns have been keeping their eyes on quarterbacks since they came back to Cleveland. That doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. That doesn't mean that they're going to make decisions based on, we had our eye on this quarterback. I mean, my God, put that on a bumper sticker for the Browns since they came back. What the hell does that have to do with anything? He said Chubb was extended after that. Your logic has been slam dunked into the drain. And again, calling me kid. That's fine. You don't want to use logic. You want to be a fanboy. That's more that you could do that. Do whatever your heart desires. But I'm going to just use common sense here. I mean, if you look at the top 5 paid running backs in the NFL, all of them have average quarterbacks. Every single one of these guys. Ezekiel Elliott. The Cowboys need him. No longer need him. But when they signed him initially, they needed him. Average quarterback. Derrick Henry. They signed him. Yes, because he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Average quarterback. Alvin Kamara, the 3rd highest paid running back in the NFL. Guess why they signed him? Average quarterback. Average quarterback. Nick Chubb, the fourth highest paid running back in the at the time when he signed, average quarterback. Average quarterback. The other quarterbacks they had their eye on, too, were also guys like potentially Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo needs an elite level running back to be effective. It's that simple. Dalvin Cook, average running back, average quarterback. I mean, common sense, dude. Like the top 5 paid running backs, all on teams with average quarterback. But there's Nick Chubb. The Browns don't need to invest. I mean, 15 mil into the running back position. Oofa. Jacob Fightmaster, he goes, we are watching running backs in the NFL become less and less important, useful for 5 years max, and then by then you find a decent quarterback or redraft a running back and let the other running back walk. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality too. The problem is it's also the shelf life of the running back. So it's like Zeke is a prime example. The Cowboys, they got the best of Zeke Elliott during his rookie contract run. They got the worst of Zeke after they paid him. Not because he got paid and just stopped trying, but I mean, by that point, running backs' bodies, they're just getting beat up now. And by the way, the run game it's vital in the NFL. You have to have a run game. But the bottom line is that the run game is easy to complement. Like it's easy to find running backs. And it's definitely more contract friendly having elite running backs on rookie deals. And hell, you don't even need an elite running back. The Kansas City Chiefs, by the way, that's the blueprint I would follow. The Browns fans on here are embarrassing themselves sitting here saying, no, the Cleveland Browns are doing it right. In the Cleveland Browns, we trust. I'm a Browns fan, and I don't even completely trust the Cleveland Browns decision-making all the time. And I sure as hell don't trust the decision-making as far as saying, hey, we're going to be tight on money moving forward because of all the money we invested in our quarterback. But sure, let's continue putting 15 mil into our running back. All while watching the Kansas City Chiefs move on from Tyreek Hill. Don't even invest into their running game at all. They draft Pacheco, and Pacheco made so many big plays in the Super Bowl, but that's why they're the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's why embarrassing Browns fans continue to make excuses for every time that team makes a mistake. Two things could be true. Nick Chubb is awesome. I'm a fan of Nick Chubb, not a fan of paying him. It's that simple. Phil McCracken says he's making $12 million in a world where guys like Christian Kirk made 23. Phil, you're not making any sense. Those guys have quarterbacks that are average and aren't making a ton of money. None of the top 5 paid running backs in the NFL are on teams with elite quarterbacks or top paid quarterbacks. This is an economics conversation. As a Browns fan, I can maybe see why you're having a hard time with this conversation. It's not that hard to figure out. Like I said, I don't even know why this is literally how the NFL is mapped out. Listen, sir, I can't believe I'm arguing. Why is it that the people on social media that talk the most trash, they have to use a fake profile picture and a fake name? I have no clue. And I have no clue why I even give these people the time of day to begin with. But this dude's probably living in his mom's basement, hiding behind a fake profile picture, all because probably the real profile picture will scare the hell out of everybody. You won, dude. You happy, Phil? You won. You got the best of me today. You happy? You got the reaction you were looking for? Congrats. You won. All right. But at the end of the day, I win. I always win. Kenner and Kev right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Jacob Fightmaster, he says Phil is acting like a fool. Thank you, Jacob Fightmaster. Appreciate you, Mr. Fightmaster. All right. Hour 3 coming up next, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.